Hey people, my good friend Emmet at Deadrise Woodcarved made a charity chest set with parts from various different makers, so I volunteered to help him out with a wood-carved piece of my own. When I asked what he wanted from me, however, he said a prawn. Never mind, I thought, let's just go with it. As with anything, to carve the prawn, you must first understand the prawn. So after some careful research, I found out that prawns are dangerous hunters, feed on sharks, whales, and have also been known to go after small fishing boats. They're highly nutritious too. Most importantly, they look like this. Needing any excuse to order fancy hardwoods, I got hold of some pink ivory. This African hardwood is extremely strong, so it would make a bit of a carving challenge, but I thought the gorgeous pink colours and the fact that it tastes like prawns makes it all worth it. I cut a part down to a more manageable size, and then I sketched out the basic prawn shape with a Sharpie. There, a happy little prawn. Using the bandsaw I cut out a basic shape so I could focus on carving the detail. I followed up with cutting a little more on the scroll saw. For the carving I used my lovely little Maker X rotary tool. I've done a review video of the Maker X and I'll post a link to it in the description below. I started with some carbide burrs to mark out and carve out a little bit of the detail and take some off the edges. To ensure I had a constant guide all the way through, I quickly re-penciled in any lines that I carved away. For the eyes, I drilled some 5mm holes and carried on carving away. I used cheap carbide burrs for most of the work, but then discovered these Cutzel burrs that worked really well for removing the wood quickly. Definitely going to use these in future projects. As the completed prawn and all of its dangly bits would be too delicate to sand, I did some sanding as I went along. For the tail, I took a bit of the pink ivory scrap wood from earlier and traced out the basic tail shape. I then cut this out on the scroll saw. I then gave it a little shaping and sanding with a sanding drum, making sure that I carved a flat piece which matched where it needed to go onto the body. And lastly, I gave it a bit of a sand and polished with some abrasive paste. Holes won't do, needs some eyes. I cut down some strips of ebony and took it over to my other workbench to somehow make them from square into round. Ebony and ivory, reminds me of a song. I chopped the rounded piece into a small eye stalk with a sharp chisel and gave them a little sand to make them round at each end. I then slid the eyes tightly into the body and glued them into place with some thick Starbond glue which they kindly gave me to try out. Oh, look at those cruel black eyes. The thing about a prawn, it's got lifeless eyes. Black eyes like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living till he bites you, and those old black eyes roll over into white. Anyways, a quick finish on the bandsaw just to neaten up the base, and it's ready for some dangly bits like legs and horns. I put some cocktail sticks into some pinkish dye and left them for a day or so to soak up the pink. Could have done this with the pink ivory of course, but I'm lazy. I drilled a few holes in the body and the nose and inserted the cocktail sticks with a dab of CA glue when they were dry. Perfect. Oh, mustn't forget the tail. I glued it on with some more Starbond CA glue. It's good stuff this. Oh, that's a sexy looking prawn right there. I gave the final piece a few coats of spray-on lacquer to protect it and give it that unworldly shine that prawns seem to have. So, a serious predator needs some serious packaging. I took inspiration from one of my favourite artists, Obvious Plant, and made some in the style of a blister pack. I found Adobe Illustrator really easy to whip up a quick design in, and I printed that out to use later. Plastic blister packs are made with vacuum forming, so I tried to knock up a little vacuum former, as I've been wanting to make one of these for a while. This nice looking tin should work, and it's about the right size. I took the box over to my workbench and drilled a boatload of 3mm holes in the lid. I then cut a bigger hole in the side for my vacuum. I should have used a proper drill bit for this, but well, it's only thin metal, so I used a Forstner bit made for wood and it worked fine. I popped my vacuum into the hole and gave it a test. Easy swan, look out. A frame was needed to hold the plastic in the oven, so I cut some out from some of my finest wood, OSB. And then I attached some OHP plastic to the frame with some staples. Let's see if this works. So far so good. Plastic is all melty. Vacuum is on. test piece in place? Bother. Wow, this is just embarrassing. I should probably not include this in the final video. So I went to the maker community to see if I could get some guidance, and indeed I did. They're a fantastic bunch, them lot.
You need bigger holes.
Use a heat
You
gun.
need smaller
You can do
holes.
it.
Try
Plastic
using
needs
thinner
to be hot.
plastic.
Level the bed.
Some amazing knowledge. Unfortunately, I went a different way and I copped out and purchased this little mini forming tool that I've seen Adam Savage use. I've put a proper link to that in the video description if you want to buy one of these. I will revisit the vacuum former at some point with all the helpful advice, because I really do want to build a bigger one of these someday, but for now I just wanted something small that works, and work it did. Wow, minimum fuss. I cut the plastic blister with some sharp snips and laminated the graphics I printed earlier. And then got my lovely wife to use some of her card making skills to help me assemble the final package. And there we go, one well-packaged prawn. I sent this over to Emmet and told him he could maybe use it as part of the chess set, perhaps as a rook or something. Everybody please check out the channel with the finished chess set. It's been raffled off already, but it looks absolutely fantastic. And if you have any questions or want to share some facts about prawns, please pop them into the comments below. Thanks all!